So for the Ranger Showboat, we have Wild Bill, we have Grace Myrtle, we have Calamity Jane, a single Ranger Interceptor, Rebecca Capelli, Missy Capelli, Nate Behringer, and a unit of 5 veteran Rangers to fill out the last posse slot. For the Dark Nation, we have Wicicasni and her Hexalith. We have a proxied Profane Nest, Camazotz, Kali, Seki, Nizoni, Longtree, a proxied unit of 5 Reaver Headhunters, and another proxy unit of 4 Reaver Harriers. So we're going to go ahead and draw up to see who's going to be going first. For the Dark Nation, we have a 29. For the Lawman, 13. So Dark Nation player is setting up first. We'll be back once we have the planet done. Here, starting the Lawman side, we have the Ranger Interceptor right here, right on the edge. Missy Capelli, Calamity Jane, my veteran Rangers, all with Nate Behringer in the front, and Grace Myrtle way up top here. And we have Rebecca Capelli and Wild Bill. There is all of the lawmen fully deployed. So for the Dark Nation, first off we have our Hexalith right in the middle there. Here we have Nizoni and Camazotz, our 2 hands units. Profane Nest is right there. Then we have Kali and Longtree, Seki tucked back in the corner, and Wicicasni is in reserve. So, in that case, it is going to be Dark Nation turn 1. Okay, starting out, we have 3 action points for the Dark Nation. So we're going to go ahead and activate Nizoni and do a focused move action up the board a bit. I apologize for using that little widget there. My normal tape measure seems to have disappeared. She's going to run up behind the cart. Then another focused move action to get her over by that tree there and ready to strike in the next turn. Alright, so first Lawman activation, we have 3 action points. We're going to go ahead and activate the Ranger Interceptor. I know I totally forgot about Trailfinder moves, my mistake. So we're going to do a quick focus move up the board a bit. And then another focus move after we figure out, okay, no, I can't quite get to where we need to. That's not going to work. So go ahead and have him tuck right beside that building there. And rotate a little bit, and that will be the end of his activation. Alright, next activation, we have Kali with 3 action points. She's going to go ahead and make a quick focused move right up the board here, through the trees. And once we get set up properly, she is going to go ahead and charge that interceptor. See if she can take it out. Alright, so Kelly's going to go ahead and strike with her Fanged Maw attack. This has a rate of attack 1. She has a fight value of 6, so she needs at least a 4 to hit successfully. What do we end up with? We get a 5. That hits. This attack has Brutal, Tangle, and Refined, so this is going to be 2 grit checks for the poor Interceptor. It also has a piercing value of -2, so he's going to need 7s on 2 dice in order to survive this. Roll 2, and I fail one of them with a 6. So we're going to go ahead and try to re-roll that. We're going to go ahead and grab one of Wild Bill's fortune right there. Re-roll it. And we fail. So that means First Blood goes to the Dark Nation. And with Callie's last action point, she's going to go ahead and go on the lookout. It's going to end her activation. We also have our first victory point of the game for the Dark Nation, destroying a support unit in a strike action, bringing the score 1-0, Dark Nation. Beginning of the game. So after drawing the 5 action point card this early in the game, Grace Myrtle is going to go ahead and shoot the Hexalith. So with Grace's 5 action points, she's going to take a shot at the Hexalith. She's elevated already, so she gets to focus for free. That is going to bring her aim all the way up to 8, so she needs 2s. And here I hit with a 6. It says a piercing value of -1 versus the Hexalith's grit 8, so it needs 7s. And I roll a 2. So we're going to go ahead and spend a fortune to re-roll that from the Hexalith. And to get a critical failure. The Hexalith is gone. And Grace is going to go ahead and end her activation by going on the lookout, since nothing else is in range of her rifle. Ending the lawman's activation. Alright, we then draw 3 action points for the Dark Nation, so we're going to activate Camazotz here. He's going to start out by making a Skyleap action over the fence and land right behind the cart there. He's then going to spend his remaining action points and fortune to make a focus move action to have him run and hide right behind those stairs there and end the Dark Nation activation. So for this activation, the lawmen draw a measly 2 action points. And after a bit of deliberation, we're going to have Nate Behringer fire his juice launcher at Camazotz. He's also going to go ahead and spend the extra action point to focus it, so that'll take his aim up to 8. We just need 2 or better to hit. We roll and we get a 7. So now let's see where we end up with as far as scatter goes. Scatters 3 inches off to the side and completely misses, unfortunately. So, complete whiff on Nate's part. And at the end of all that, Nate's going to spend his fortune to go ahead and hunker down and end his activation, sending things back over to the Dark Nation. So we then draw 1 action point for the Dark Nation. So we go ahead and activate Longtree and just have him hang out on the porch of the post office right there. Just going to chill, sit down, take a breather, wait for the next turn. So next up, we drew 2 action points. We're going to go ahead and activate Calamity Jane. She's going to move up a little bit and take a shot at Camazotz. Calamity Jane's also going to use her fortune to focus it. Takes her aim up to 9, -1 for the obscure. Takes it to 8. She's going to hit on a 5. So Camazotz has a grit value of 5. Calamity's weapon has a piercing value of -2, so that's going to take him down to 3. So he will need 7s to make this. Camazotz is going to go ahead and roll a 4. Not quite enough. So he will spend one of Wicicasni's fortune to re-roll and get a critical failure. So at the end, Camazotz is going to go ahead and use metal to take the disordered condition, and that will be the end of Calamity Jane's activation. Okay, so we drew 3 action points. We are going to go ahead and activate Seki and make a bit of a rules mistake. Technically, you're not allowed to make a get in action and then immediately make a get out action in the same activation. And unfortunately, that's what I did, because I realized I didn't put Seki in the best spot and wanted to just get her up the board as quickly as possible. I probably should have checked that, but when you're playing a game with both sides and trying to keep track of everything, it's really hard. So this is undoubtedly not the first rules mistake I made in this video, and it will most likely not be the last. But either way, it was a fun learning experience, and I managed to get Seki in a much better spot. So she's going to end up just outside of this building here, where she will end her activation. So our third activation, we are going to draw 3 action cards and activate Wild Bill right next to the jail there. He's going to go ahead and take a shot against Nizoni. You can see right in the picture there, he's got a clear line of sight and he's just in 10 inches. So he's going to go ahead and use his blaster pistols. They have a rate of attack of 2. With Wild Bill's aim of 7 means he needs 3s on 2 dice. He will be re-rolling his successes due to Nizoni's moving target. So we roll here, and we get 2 critical failures. Not the best way to start things out. So, for our next action, we're going to shoot again. This time we get a 9 and a 7. Thanks to moving target, those are going to have to be re-rolled. And this time, we get 2 misses again. So it's a complete whiff for Wild Bill. He's just going to go ahead and spend a fortune to make a get-in action and hide in shame in the jail. So we draw 3 action points and decide to activate the Reaver Headhunters. We're going to go ahead and try to have them climb over that little fence there. Since the fence is a bit bigger than their base, they're going to need to make a quick check. So they have a base quickness of 5, -1 for the fence height being bigger than their base. So they need 6s to pass. And they whiff. We're going to try it again. And the second time they'll succeed and make their way over the basic wooden fence that was so hard to get over the first time. This is going to end their activation, and then it's going to switch back over to the lawman. Next up, we draw 3 action points for the lawman, and we are going to go ahead and activate Missy Capelli. She's going to go ahead and make a get-in action to get into that little house right there. And then go on the lookout to end things for her and the lawman, switching back over to Dark Nation. Alright, here we draw just a single action point for the Dark Nation. So we are going to go ahead and activate the Reaver Harriers this time. And they're simply going to make a get-in action into that little shack right there. And that will be the end of the Dark Nation activation. Okay, so here the lawmen draw 3 action points. And we are going to go ahead and activate Rebecca Capelli. She's going to make a simple move action, get forward a little bit, and then take a couple of shots at Nizoni there. First off, though, we're going to do Quicken the Dead. So Nizoni is a quickness of 7, and she's going to pass this with a 6. So Nizoni is now hunkered. So we're going to go and discard that card for an additional action point. We are going to shoot again. So Rebecca's aim is 5, so she needs 5 or better on 2 shots. And I roll 2 4s. So, complete whiff again on Rebecca's part, so her activation is going to end and it's going to go back over to the Dark Nation. Alright, so we have 2 action points for the Dark Nation. The only unit left is Wicicasni. So she is going to go ahead and spend a fortune to come out of reserves within 3 inches of the Profane Nest. She still currently has her two regular action points. So we are going to go ahead and make a flight action to cross the board. And with our second action point, we are going to charge Rebecca Capelli. Before we actually get to the strike action, though, Rebecca is going to spend 2 of Wild Bill's fortune to get veteran instincts and take a shot at Wicicasni, hopefully putting her down before she gets too close. So we have 1 shot with an aim of 5, and it hits. Unfortunately, Wicicasni does have Shrouded, so that successful hit will need to be re-rolled. So we re-roll, and it's still a hit. So this shot has a piercing value of -2, which is going to take Wicicasni's grit down from 6 to 4. So she will need 6 or higher to pass. And she passes with a 9. So Wicicasni has a fight of 6, and thanks to Instinctive Strike, Rebecca cannot force any of those to be re-rolled with parry. So right now we need 4s to hit, 1 crit fail, and 1 regular fail. So we are going to spend a fortune to re-roll our regular fail. And we get a critical success, which means this has fatal. So Rebecca will not be able to use metal for this one. This attack does have a piercing value of -1, so Rebecca will need 6s to survive. And she fails. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and grab the last of Wild Bill's fortune to re-roll that. And she passes with a 9. So we have the slap fight between Rebecca Capelli and Wicicasni going on all the way into turn 2. So on the lawman side, we only have the veteran rangers left. They're going to go ahead and draw 3 action points. And the first thing they're going to do is make move action to get up the board some. And with our 2 remaining action points, we're going to go ahead and make a focus charge against Wicicasni and try to save Rebecca. So in the little picture-in-picture screen there, you can see how the fight is shaping up. Alright, so for this fight, the veteran rangers are going to take advantage of massed melee to get as many swings in as possible. So the Rangers are going to be using their Iron Ass Batons for just a regular strike action. So they have a fight of 5, which means they need 5s to hit. And out of all those 5 strikes, only 2 of them hit. Now since these 2 hits both have stunned on them, that means that the second one is going to be lethal. We'll see how that works out. So our first grit check is passed. Now on to the second one, which is going to be lethal. So the second grit check, and that one fails. In an attempt to sort of conserve fortune, Wicicasni is just going to go ahead and use metal and become disordered. So that is going to be the end of turn 1 in this match. Tallying up the scores, we have the Lawman getting 1 victory point for that far corner. That one's currently contested. Dark Nation to get 1 victory point for that one, thanks to Kamazats hiding in the corner there. And then 1 more victory point for the rest of the force on the far edge there, putting the score at 3-1 for the Dark Nation going into turn 2. So, at the start of turn 2, we check to see who is going to be going first. The Lawmen draw a 43, and the Dark Nation draw a 45, meaning the Dark Nation is going to be going first. We pull 2 action points and decide to activate Wicicasni. So the first thing we're going to do is have Wicicasni spend a fortune to remove her negative conditions. And after that, she's then going to spend her first action point taking another swing at Rebecca Capelli, hoping we can bring her down this time. So Wicicasni is still attacking with her felt blades. She is still at a fight of 6, so needs 4 or better. And roll and get a 9 and a 2. So one of those still hits. It's a piercing -1. So that's going to bring Rebecca down to a grid of 4. So she needs 6s or better. And here we see she passes with a 9. Alright, we're then going to discard a Guts card to get an additional action point. And then we are going to swing again. Here we get a 1 and a 6. Still just 1 successful. So Rebecca's going to roll another grit check. And passes with a critical success. Without any other options at the moment, Wicicasni is going to go ahead and end your activation, and the slap fight will continue. Now we're then going to use the teamwork bonus on this Guts card here to get another activation. And activate Nizoni. And she's going to end up getting a whopping 4 action points, because I couldn't draw that the last time. So her hunkered is going to go away, and she is going to charge Rebecca Capelli. So Nizoni is going to swing with her Razor Claws. She has a fight of 6 and needs 4s to hit. Here we can see she got a 4, a 6, and a 7. So it's 3 hits at piercing -2. So Rebecca needs to make 3 grit checks on 7 or better in order to survive. And unfortunately, there are 2 failures there, and without any other way to get any rerolls, Rebecca is gone. Nizoni is then going to pile in and start attacking the veteran rangers. Alright, same as before, needing 4s on 3 dice, and they all fail. Nizoni is then going to spend a Guts card to get an extra action point and attack one more time. And completely whiff with 2 2s and a 1. The slap fight continues. Alright, going back over to the Lawmen, we draw 2 action points and activate Grace. On the Lookout goes away, and she's going to take a shot at Camazotz. Alright, so Grace has an aim of 6. She gets to focus her shot for free for being elevated. There is an obscured penalty there, so it's going to bring her aim all the way down to 7. So she needs 3 or better to hit. And hits with a 4. So Grace's rifle has a piercing of -1. However, Camazotz is getting a +1 bonus for being obscured. So he needs to pass his grit check with a 5 or better. And he passes with a critical success. Undeterred, Grace is going to spend her fortune and her last action point to shoot again. Same as before, Grace needs 3s to hit with her aim of 7, and she succeeds. So Camazotz needs to make another grit check at his base grit, and he gets another critical success. So for our second Lawman activation, with 2 action points, we're going to go ahead and activate the Veteran Rangers and have them attack Wicicasni. So for our second Lawman activation, with 2 action points, we're going to go ahead and activate the Veteran Rangers and have them attack Wicicasni. So with their second action point, they're also going to focus this attack, so it's going to take their fight up to 7, so they need 3s on 5 dice. And they end up with only 2 hits. So Wicicasni is now stunned. She's going to have a grit of 5 for the first hit, which she is going to fail. However, thanks to Hardy, she will get a reroll, which she is then going to fail again with a 2. So, in order to stay in the game, Wicicasni is going to go ahead and use metal and go disordered. Alright, so the second attack is now lethal. She has a grit of 4, and will fail this one with a 5. Wicicasni is going to reroll due to Hardy and pass with an 8. So she's still in the game, if only barely. And the brawl at this side of the table continues on its bloody path. Alright, so now we have 2 action points for the Dark Nation. We're going to go ahead and activate Camazotz and spend his fortune to remove the disordered condition. His first action is going to be to make a sky leap move to get him away from the gallows there and get him closer to the fight. Second action, he's going to go ahead and charge Calamity Jane. So Camazotz is using his Blazing Fists, which have a rate of attack of 2, and his fight of 5 means he needs 2 5s. And Camazotz gets 2 hits with a 7 and a 5. This means that Calamity Jane is now on fire, and that second hit is lethal. The Blazing Fists have a piercing value of -2, but Calamity Jane is hunkered, so her grit is effectively going to be 4. So she needs 6s to stay alive. And she passes her first grit check with a critical success. The second one is going to be lethal, and she's going to fail. So Calamity Jane is going to use metal and go disordered, and lose hunkered as well. So back over to the lawman, we're going to activate Missy Capelli and fire her chase launcher at Seki. I unfortunately completely forgot to record all the dice rolls for this one. I apologize. So Missy has an aim of 5, so she'll need 5s to succeed. And she unfortunately misses with a 3. With her other 2 action points, she's going to shoot again and hits with a 9. Fortunately, the chase launcher is refined, so that 9 is a critical success, which means that this is going to be a piercing -3 and brutal hit on Seki if it lands. I go ahead and roll for scatter and see that it scatters 5 inches directly back and completely misses Seki, and that's going to end Missy Capelli's activation for this turn. And with 3 action points for the Dark Nation, we are going to go ahead and activate Callie. First off, she's going to go ahead and lose her on the lookout condition. Thanks to Rapid, she's going to get a free focus for her move, going 9 inches up the board, getting in position for a strike later on. Once Callie's in position, she is going to go ahead and charge Calamity Jane. So this is rate of attack 1 with her Fanged Maw and a fight of 6, so she needs 4 or better. And Callie's going to hit with a 7. And this attack has a piercing of -2, which is going to take Jane's grit down to 3. She has no access to metal, so we're going to roll, and Calamity Jane is going to fail with a 4. And with no other access to fortune, Calamity Jane is gone. Alright, next activation, the lawmen draw 4 action points. And Wild Bill decides it's time to get out of the jail and get into the fight. So he's going to start out by making a get out action. And then once he's out, he's going to charge Wicicasni. Alright, so this strike, we're going to go ahead and use the Iron Ass Baton. Wild Bill has a fight of 6, so he needs 4 or better to hit. And he hits with an 8. The baton has a piercing of -1, and Wicicasni's already stunned. So that's going to bring her grit all the way down to 4. So she's going to need 6 or better to make this. And here we see Wicicasni fails with a 5. Fortunately, she does have Hardy, so she will get to reroll her failed grit check here. And Wicicasni passes with a critical success. Undeterred, Wild Bill is going to spend his last 2 action points to strike again. And once again, we hit with an 8. So same as before, Wicicasni is going to need a 6 or better to pass this grit check. And she's going to fail it with a 3. Again, she still has access to Hardy, so this is going to be re-rolled as her last chance of survival. And gets a critical failure. And so after all that, Wicicasni is finally brought low by Wild Bill's baton. Or is she? So Wicicasni has a mind of 6, so we need at least a 4 to have something happen. And we end up with a 9, so close. Wicicasni has been transformed into a Hex Beast for the rest of the game. Alright, Dark Nation up next. They get 4 action points, and we are going to go ahead and activate Seki now. Alright, she's going to go ahead and make a focused move up the board for 8 inches, and then spend her other 2 action points to make a regular move to go just 6 inches a bit more, and try to cover more ground and close with the Lawman. Okay, so activation is going to switch over to the Lawman, and we draw 4 action points. So we are going to go ahead and activate the Veteran Rangers, who are going to attack Nozomi. So we're also going to go ahead and focus this attack, so the Rangers will be at fight 7, 5 attacks, needing 3s to hit. And as you can see here, we got 3 successful hits. So these have a piercing value of -1. The second and third attacks are going to be lethal. So let's see, that'll put Nozomi at a grit of 5. And she passes with a 9. So the second attack. This one is going to be lethal, and it fails with a 3. So Nozomi's going to go ahead and use metal here, go disordered. And the third attack fails with a 3. Without any other fortune, Nozomi dies. Before she gets pulled off the table, though, we have to do a taint check. So Nozomi has a mind of 4, and she fails. So Nozomi is just pulled off the table. This might just be the point where the Lawmen finally turn things around. So with their remaining 2 action points, the Veteran Rangers are then going to attack the Hex Beast. They don't have any other fortune or action points available, so this will just be a regular attack with a fight of 5 on 5 dice. And out of all of those dice, only one of them successfully hit. So a combination of stunned and the piercing -1 on the batons means that the Hex Beast now has a grit of 4. So it's going to have to roll a 6 or better to survive. And ends up only rolling a 3. So the Hex Beast is gone. And both the Ranger Squad and Wild Bill will end up with the hazardous condition. So moving over to the Dark Nation, we draw 4 action points and decide to activate the Reaver Harriers sitting in the little shack there. They're going to make a get out action. And then move up the board to get in range of Wild Bill and the Veteran Rangers. Alright, Reaver Harriers are then going to take a shot at Wild Bill. So they have an aim value of 5. So they need 5s on 4 dice. And so we get 2 misses, 1 hit, and 1 critical success. The critical effect is going to be overcharged on Wild Bill. And we're going to go and do the regular hit first. So this first hit has a piercing of -2, which is going to bring Wild Bill's grit down to a 4. And he's going to pass with a crit. Second hit is going to be lethal. And second one he's going to pass with a 4. And his second roll, he's going to pass that one with an 8. So Wild Bill lives to fight on. And unfortunately here is where the battle report ends. It looks like the battery on my microphone had died, and it did not pick up any of my game narration throughout the rest of the video. I tried to piece together what I had done, just looking at the screen there, but it's just not possible. The game did end shortly after this. It ended about the end of turn 3 with a Dark Nation victory. So a few high points to that. We saw the Reaver Headhunters go ahead and charge Missy Capelli while she was in the building and just completely chop her to bits. You saw Seki behind the Veteran Rangers. She ended up charging and just ripping them apart. And probably the one thing that annoys me the most is Nate Behringer managed to kill Callie, and then Callie got a critical success on her taint check. So she resurrected and then proceeded to curb stomp poor Nate. At the end of the match, it was, I believe, 5 points to 2 going to the Dark Nation. The Dark Nation was just able to get so far ahead so fast that the lawmen just weren't able to compete. I know I made a few mistakes in the video, specifically things like ignoring the Ranger Interceptor having Trail Finder, and probably a couple other ones scattered throughout, because as it turns out, trying to record a battle report while you're playing both sides simultaneously is really hard. It's incredibly difficult to keep track of everything. Overall, this was a fun learning experience, not only for video recording but for editing and some basic gameplay as well. I'm definitely going to pick up a box of Dark Nation hands to add to this, because they did a lot more work than they probably should have. And yeah, I'm going to take a look and see how I can better use the Ranger Showboat in the future, because that was just an incredibly poor outing. I'm sorry, that was just bad. So, next time, hopefully, I will not only have another opponent, but enough batteries to actually last through the entire thing. So I can get everything here except for just half of the battle report. Alright, until next time, take care, guys.